Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Al Mizan Sunday Taleem, where a sister from the masjidwdm Muhammad community presents from a female perspective, not to an all-female audience. Today we have with us Sister Baiyina Khalil. Alhamdulillah, she will be speaking to us about never leaving our future to chance. Sister Baiyina Khalil is the co-founder of Camp Khalil, the premier Muslim youth camp where they hold camps both in Florida and in Texas. The Texas session is coming up March 16th through 19th, and Baiyina will be presenting on the Never Leaving Our Future to Chance. Here is Baiyina Khalil.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Baiyina Khalil, and I'm a member of the masjidwdm Muhammad community here in Houston, Texas. And I am honored to be hosting the Mizan program for this Sunday. Inshallah, I will be using this time to give you all some updates on the progress and growth of Camp Khalil, and let you know how we can continue to invest in ourselves, invest in our community, and invest in the future of this country and the world. So inshallah, I appreciate your presence today and your willingness to engage and share this with your friends and family. Let them know about masjidwdm Muhammad's monthly Taleem program hosted by sisters. And inshallah, we're going to go ahead and get started. All right. Civilized societies never leave their future to chance. This is a quote by Imam Worthy Muhammad that has been the driving force behind the creation of and the maintenance of Camp Khalil. So we know how important leadership is in our communities, and we know how important it is to take ownership for our communities and ensuring that the work of those that have come before us does not fall by the wayside, that we do not get caught up into other people's programs, other people's agendas, and lose sight of what made us who we are, what made us great, and what Allah intended for us as His creation in service to Him. So we live by this quote, and inshallah, as the presentation continues, you will be able to see how the community has lived up to this quote over the last 20 years. So as I said before, this organization is centuries in the making. We are not new in terms of our mission. We are not new in terms of our passion and our love for self. We are a product of all of it, and we're working to ensure that our children can say the same. We recently made an updated promo video, and we'll go ahead and show it for you all at this time.
Since 2004, Camp Khalil has established itself as a leadership and youth development institution. What began as a 4-day summer camp has evolved into an organization that serves the needs of America's youth year-round. We have served hundreds of youth ages 12 to 17 from over 40 states during our Florida and Texas sessions, as well as at various local, state, and national community events and conferences. Our success can be directly attributed to our faith and belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the life example of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We approach our work with a spirit of service and sacrifice. We are passionate about youth development. Our time, resources, and knowledge are completely invested in our youth. We want to leave this earth knowing that we did our part to provide a positive example of preparing our future generations for leadership. What makes Camp Khalil unique is that we develop our youth from a holistic approach. All of our sessions are content-rich, yet activity-based. Participants learn through diagram models, guided practice, group discussion, public speaking, team building, and self-directed presentations. Camp Khalil not only develops the mind and body, we develop the spirit. As a faith-based organization, we seamlessly thread spiritual consciousness into all of our programming. We emphasize moral responsibility, the oneness of the Creator, and the oneness of humanity. As citizens of this planet, youth are empowered to be moral leaders and servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We teach and model the belief that we are all servants of the Creator and are responsible for positively contributing to society. Register, volunteer, and become a sponsor at campkhalil.org. Follow Camp Khalil on all social media platforms.
So hopefully, inshallah, you all got just another taste of what we do as an organization and how we have used our experience over the years to serve America's youth. And so, inshallah, this year we will be hosting our 9th annual Texas session, and it will be hosted outside of Houston, in the city of Dallas, Texas, and it will be March 16th through the 19th. And registration is full, and we are now working towards our fundraising goal. And our fundraising each year is designed to ensure that families, no matter of their economic background, will not find finance as an issue for sending their child to Camp Khalil. A lot of families are traveling from other parts of the country outside of Texas or outside of our Florida session. And so oftentimes purchasing airline tickets or even driving their child down is an added expense. And if they have multiple children within the ages of 12 to 17, having to pay more than $250 per child on top of all of the other added expenses, it can often become a burden for some. And so our fundraising allows us not only to cover our operational costs for our sessions, but it allows our organization to do a lot more. And I'll get into what we're able to do with our community's support. So this is a picture of our volunteers, and our volunteers have been steady and consistent over the last 20 years. Most of the volunteers in our initial years were family members or community members that either raised me or my husband, or were a part of our development at a very early age. And so we have grown over the years, and more of our volunteers are people that have never met us. And they are people who have heard about our work, and they have seen the impact of our work with the youth in their cities. And so they have come to serve our organization and serve all of our children. So the presentation today will be broken up into the following parts. Foundation, no man is an island. We know the value of community, and community is how we were able to grow. Number 2, evolution. You can go faster alone, but farther together. And this organization is a community effort. Number 3, vision. Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. So oftentimes leadership is looked at in a position of separation from the rest of the community, but we know that true leadership means that you're not only able to see things, but you're able to make them real and tangible, and allow those who follow you to be able to help you make it a reality. Number 4, we'll talk about funding and the value of interdependence, and how for us it is a choice that we can make because we are independent people. Number 5, investment, for us, by us, pretty self-explanatory. And we all know about the famous brother who created the clothing line, Brother Damon, with that logo, FUBU. And number 6, marketing. Your network determines your net worth. And we'll talk about ways that you can continue to promote our organization and help it to grow, help it to become more than it has been. All right. So the foundation, okay, don't get stuck on those cute little pictures. We don't know who these kids are. We just pull some, photo stock off the internet and said, these kids look cute. They look like little Muslims. No, this is a picture of myself and my husband when we were very young. And oftentimes I look at my children. We have a soon-to-be 21-year-old and a 17-year-old. And when I look at them, this is literally what I see. I just see babies, but they grow so fast. In our time together, inshallah, will bring us closer to each other and closer to Allah. And so the thing that allowed us to get to where we are today is marriage. Both my husband and I come from a 2-parent household, and we saw the importance of family growing up young. And we were always surrounded by other families, and together we formed a community. And so we really stress the importance of marriage in our organization with our youth participants, because we know how important it is, how it is the beginning of family life, and it is the cornerstone of society. Camp Khalil is also a product of parenthood. As I said earlier, Hanif and I are both parents, and we were blessed to have parents that knew the importance of being involved in their children's lives, speaking to them on a regular basis, putting them in environments that could give them what they needed, even if they didn't feel like they were able to give it all themselves. And so I think that's also an important element to Camp Khalil, is recognizing that parents cannot do it all. We are important. We are a foundation. We are the foundation, but no building can stand with just a foundation. It needs walls, it needs windows, it needs doors. And each person in a community that is invested in someone's child is a part of that structure that will go on to be great and form other great structures that will, inshallah, bring us closer to Allah by serving each other. We end up serving Him. Camp Khalil is a product of the Nation of Islam. Both of our parents are products of that leadership and the values that the Nation of Islam instilled in our parents. They also passed on to us the value of doing for self, relying on discipline, relying on unity, and relying on a belief that no one is going to come save you. That if you want anything in life, you have to have faith in Allah, you have to do good works, and you have to believe that no one owes you anything. That if you're going to get anything, you're going to have to strive for it and be a person of faith, that Allah is going to support you in those efforts to serve Him. We are a product of the leadership of Imam Worthy Muhammad. Imam Worthy Muhammad, it was instrumental in the shaping of our communities. Many of the masajids that we have today under that leadership came from the education and the life practice of Imam Worthy Muhammad, and he stressed the importance of reading the Quran, reading it in its native language. He stressed the importance of creating unity within our community. And he also stressed the importance of investing in our youth. One of the conferences that we attended when we were just college students, actually we had just graduated, was the catalyst for Camp Khalil. We literally left the Labor Day conference, September, Labor Day weekend of 2003, and we started getting to work. At the time, our son had just turned 1 a few months prior, and we were new residents of Orlando, Florida, and we attended that national convention and sat in the session with Imam Muhammad, the Sunday address. That is always the last part of the weekend. And there were a lot of things said. I mean, those addresses go on for hours. And you always ask yourself, like, when you look back in time, you're thinking, like, when did something happen that was a spark, that was an inspiration? Because my husband and I had heard dozens of speeches from Imam Muhammad in person, through tapes. And you always think to yourself, like, when will something hit me that may not have hit me the same way before. You may read, like you all know, we read the Quran every year from cover to cover during the month of Ramadan, and many of us read a few pages every day throughout the year, and each time you read it, it's like it's being re-revealed to you differently. So of all the times that we heard Imam Muhammad speak, this particular National Convention, his address, he addressed the importance of establishing programming for our youth. He addressed the importance of creating a place for them to solidify their Islamic identity in this American landscape. And as a recent college graduate with a degree in English education and being an at-home mom with my young son, you know, my mind started tumbling, like, okay, how can I fulfill this? This is something that sounds like, you know, what I'm interested and passionate in. I am, you know, an educated educator, hadn't gotten into the classroom full time yet. I was an at-home mom at the time, and just started to get to work. Got back, Hanif and I spoke, kind of put some ideas out there, and many community members gave us insight into what had already been done. You know, programming and retreats that had already been put on, and we listened to them, and we got their advice, and we built from what they had already established. And then Claire Muhammad Schools. I attended Claire Muhammad School as a young child in my primary years in Miami, Florida. And the importance of Claire Muhammad Schools can never be overstated. I don't think we really, well, we do. We know the importance. We know what our public school systems are offering, and we know what our children need. And we know what Claire Muhammad Schools has done over the years since their inception in developing and shaping American Muslims who are confident in themselves and knowledgeable about how to take the Quran and apply it, not just for their own personal gain, but for the benefit of society. No man is an island. It is those who are successful, in other words, who are most likely to be given the kinds of special opportunities that lead to further success. So this is a quote from Malcolm Gladwell, and he has a book entitled The Outliers. And this book is powerful if you've never read it before. And it basically talks about the idea that many of us think that people who have achieved great things, it came out of nowhere, right? They were sort of like not a one-hit wonder, but like an anomaly, right? They were just something at one time, one place, and there's no explanation for how they got there. And this quote is kind of like a summation of what that book addresses. And it's the idea that we are all manifestations of a series of events and circumstances that came together to create us. And so for my husband and I, we know that our lives are not a mistake. We know that what we've been able to accomplish, and even our challenges that we have faced, they're a direct reflection of our parents, our grandparents, our great-great-grandparents, right? Everyone's story, everyone's choices that they made before we even got here set the ground. It was like fertilizer, right? It was like seeds, right? And so it's no surprise that trees or plants or roses come from fertile, nurtured soil. And so Hanif and I are firm believers that the youth that we're working with directly every year are those plants. We may not see them now, we may not be able to see what they will produce right now, but they are still plants. The life that their parents have led, the life that Hanif and I have led, the life that all of our sponsors and our volunteers and our team leaders have led, right? All of that knowledge and insight and experience is contributing to them. It's nurturing them. It's developing them. And so when they become that oak tree, right, hundreds of years from now, they will know, I didn't just show up, right? I'm a product of everything that came before me. And that's what this quote is reflecting. So this is an image of us during our sessions. Of course, most of our attendants who come to Camp Khalil are third, fourth generation Muslim, but there are some campers whose parents recently converted to Islam, or they are campers who they may only be second generation Muslim, right? Their parents accepted Islam after they were already born, and they learned about our organization and made the sacrifice to send their children. Some of our campers are just family members, cousins of campers, but for the most part, our organization has grown from word of mouth, and inshallah, we will continue to grow with your support. All right, evolution. So far, we have evolved from serving just 27 youth in our very first year in 2004. Our largest year to date has been 2017, when we served 80 youth in that one year, and that was just at our retreats. These numbers do not include the work that we have done at various conferences and conventions that are hosted in the city that we reside, but also other cities that we have traveled to over the years. They'll host programming and ask us to specifically tailor workshops and activities for our youth ages 12 to 17. And so these numbers do not include any of those sessions that we have been a part of. So in just our Texas and Florida sessions alone, we have served over 940 youth ages 12 to 17, and 57% of those youth are male. And I made an important intention to note that because we know how important leadership is in our community. And there have been years where the number of boys have far exceeded the number of girls. And those have been some of our best years, because we know that their experience together, bonding, and having those male role models, not only in their own families, but at the camp, is going to be instrumental in leading our community for years to come. And over 70% of our youth are returning youth. So oftentimes when we look at our registration form, we have to identify who are new campers and who are returning campers. New campers receive packages that the returning campers don't receive. And each year we're noticing that our new camper numbers are always lower than our return camper numbers. Our new camper numbers are growing, which is always a great thing, and they just become return campers. And so the cycle continues with each new year. In terms of funding, we began with simple donations, really just close family and community members. And in 2003, at our first fundraising event, we only raised less than $1,000. I have the exact number. I want to say it was like $673. I had that number memorized for I don't know how many years, but it has escaped, just like how much my children weighed when they were born. I don't know. It's been too long. But alhamdulillah, in 2001, we peaked at $40,000 in one year. And we were able to use that money not only to fund our summer session of Camp Khalil, but that money was reinvested in our organization and allowed us to continue working without doing hard push for fundraising for this particular session that is coming up this year in Texas. We currently have 32 monthly subscribers and 16 annual subscribers, totaling together over $8,000 per year in revenue. And so this money is provided by individuals who are committed to the success of Camp Khalil. And so each month or each year, they have a set amount coming out of their accounts, anywhere from $5. Some people give as much as $1,000 out of their Zakat to give to our organization. All funds are tax deductible because we are a 501c3 organization. So this is a picture of two young girls. I want to say they traveled from Jersey to attend our camp. And this feels like forever ago. I think this was like 2018. Yeah, I think it was like 2018. All right, our vision. The vision of Camp Khalil is to serve as a preeminent leadership institution for the education of youth and to establish a legacy based on moral excellence for future generations of Muslims in America and abroad. And so we have goals that we are continuing to add to. Once we meet a goal, then we move on to what our next goal is, and we're constantly evolving and modifying our goals, especially when we hear from our community members. Like we recently spoke to a brother and they own a couple hundred acres in Wisconsin. And so we've been speaking with them about what it would look like to build a facility on this land as a partnership for the growth and development of Camp Khalil. And there have been other opportunities in the Northeast as well. And so we know that our community is going to ensure that we don't drop the ball, right? Our time here on this earth will not be anything less than a reflection of all of the sacrifice that was made before we got here. So one of our goals for expansion is, of course, to offer more sessions. Right now, we only have our summer session in Florida. I shouldn't say only. Right now, we host our Florida sessions every summer, and our Texas sessions are currently being hosted in the spring. They were hosted in the winter, right outside of Houston, but since COVID, we have transferred to a Muslim-owned facility in Dallas, Texas. And our first session there was last year, and it was a huge success. And so we love that facility, and we just love, once again, supporting businesses, especially Muslim-owned businesses that are representative of our community. So we would like to spread to the Northeast, offer sessions in the Midwest and the West Coast. And we have been talking with individuals, and it just takes time and commitment, but we are confident that we will see Camp Khalil offered multiple times of the year in various parts of the country and the globe. Human capital. We have grown our staff from 13. Our goal is to grow our staff from the current 13 staff members that we have to having over 60 staff members. We're looking to hire a full-time grant writer and marketing chair, people who get paid. They take care of their families off of the salaries that they earn from working for Camp Khalil. And then, of course, our services. We would like to expand from offering 6 $1,000 scholarships that we currently offer for high school graduates or students who are currently in college. And we want to be able to give over $25,000 in college scholarships over the next 5 years or less. And we want to be able to provide more resources for families. And the work that we've done and the families that we've come in contact with, we know the needs are great. And oftentimes sending their children to Camp Khalil and seeing the impact that it has on them, and then returning year after year, they become like family. And so we learn a lot about their conditions outside of when they're at camp. And we want to just be able to provide more for them outside of attending our camps, resources to help them with housing, help them with community building, help them with whatever they may need. And then, of course, internship opportunities. And this will be for young people who are in need of volunteer hours, right? Who need an organization, a legitimate, incorporated organization that they can put on their resumes and college applications, and letting people know that they have worked with an organization and what they were able to do in terms of showing their capabilities through their internship. Some more pictures of our young campers, and this is during our Florida session. And as you see, a lot of young men. All right. Funding. So we have not just our subscribers that I mentioned a little earlier who give on a monthly and annual basis, but we have organizations and individuals who give between $3,000 and $10,000 each year to our organization. And once again, these numbers are what allowed us to get to the 40K, 30K the previous year. Each year, our goal has increased because the community has shown us that our dreams aren't big enough, right? That our goals aren't big enough. We need to dream bigger, and we need to work towards more. And so they continue to motivate us. And so these are some, but not all, of the individuals. Some of them have given since this PowerPoint was created, and they'll be added on the next presentation. And they have ensured that our organization has a far reach, and that we're able to provide our programming multiple times throughout the year. All right. Investment. Oftentimes when we're mentioning Camp Khalil and we're mentioning what we offer for our youth, what we leave out is the reality that without the businesses that you see, we would not be able to put on anything. We would not be able to do anything. So we do work with businesses that are either owned by African Americans and or Muslims. And these organizations do our t-shirt production. They handle the insurance for our organization. They create the paraphernalia and the products that have our Camp Khalil logo on it that our sponsors receive and that our campers and attendees receive. They handle our marketing. Like the promo video that we just watched was produced by a young sister out of Detroit, Michigan, Sister Malika, with Ruby Janetta Productions, LLC. Our t-shirts are designed in Jacksonville, Florida. They have been making, not our t-shirts, our banner and signage. They have been making our banner and signage since 2005. And so we have built relationships that are long-standing. And so Tiki Graphics has been that. Capital Limousine, they handle the transportation out of Atlanta, Georgia, which is one of the largest cities outside of Florida that have supported in large numbers. They send dozens and dozens of kids each year. And without Capital Limousine over the last few years, they would have had to figure out how to get them there. And so Capital Limousine makes that happen. And so once again, by investing in Camp Khalil, we are circulating the dollar in our community. We already know the statistics about how quickly the dollar leaves our community. And oftentimes the things that we do buy from each other are things that may not be necessarily necessities. It may be extra things that we really could do without. But when you're able to invest in a Black-owned business that is providing your actual basic needs, if it's not consumables for your home, right? It is signage for your business, right? It is marketing for your business, right? Things that are essential, we can really see our community grow in greater ways. So in terms of our network, we are on social media. We have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We also have Twitter. That's not listed here. And I think there's another one. I don't think we have Snapchat. But on all social platforms, we are Camp Khalil. So if you type in KAMP, KHALIL on any of those platforms, you will see our page. You can follow, share, and learn more from our social media pages and our YouTube channel. All right. If you're not currently on our mail out list right now, we have a little over 1,500 subscribers to our newsletter, and those go out periodically throughout the year. If you go to campkhalil.org and you go to the footer of our website, you will see a link that says receive updates. If you click on this, it will send you straight to our MailChimp, and you'll be able to be added as a subscriber and begin receiving notifications. We do not send them out on a daily, weekly, or even a monthly basis. Those go out during our prime times, and we'll send one, maybe 1 to 5 every 6 months. So once again, we don't spam you. You don't get emails on a regular basis from us. But when you do get those emails, they provide valuable information about our programming and ways that we are growing. So once again, we are so grateful for our community and the support that we have had over the years.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Sister Baiyina, for the dynamic presentation and helping the community to better understand the dynamic role that you and your husband have and what you've presented to us for the last few years, especially here in Houston, Texas. And now that you've expanded the market to the Dallas region of Texas, you are able to reach an even broader number of youth. We really appreciate the work that Baiyina and Brother Imam Hanif have done. We also have a few announcements that we would like to present. Also, Baiyina would like for our listening audience to know that are still in need of 2 female volunteers. So if you go to campkhalil.org, you will find an application, fill out the application, and it will be submitted to Baiyina and her husband. They are looking for still looking for further investors. $7,000 is needed to sponsor two children. They're looking for 10 believers to sponsor two children. So you can also go to campkhalil.org to make that donation. If you are in the Houston area and you're interested in we have Ramadan coming up, interested in sponsoring iftar, you have the opportunity to do so by using the link that will be located in the comment section. And they're going to be providing dine-in iftar this Ramadan, and you have the opportunity to receive blessings for sponsoring an iftar. Go to the link that I'll provide in the comment section, both on Facebook and YouTube, and you'll be able to sign up for sponsoring an iftar. Or without reserving an iftar, you can just donate toward the iftar meals. Also, if you are in the Houston area today at Masjid Al Quran, there will be one of the final Black History Month programs for the month, sponsored by CARE Houston, a Black experience. So that will occur at 3:30 today at Masjid Al Quran, located at 5922 Hillcroft. And again, it starts at 3:30 p.m. That is all of the announcements that we have, but we would like to close out with dua. Rabbina atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adhaban nar. Ya Allah, please grant us the best of this life, grant us the best of the life to come, and save us from the other fire. I mean, assalamu alaikum, and have a great rest of your day.